Welcome to the Department of Social Work at Ball State University. We are thrilled you have a vested interest in our MSW program. My name is Dr. Matt Moore. I have the honor of serving as chair for our department. I started my journey at Ball State University 8 years ago. Throughout this journey, Ball State has become my forever home. I am consistently impressed with the excellence, innovation, courage, inclusiveness, social responsibility, and gratitude demonstrated by the university and their strategic plan. Our MSW program plays a large role in this strategic plan by expanding our reach and impact along the continuum of social, economic, and environmental justice by serving adult learners throughout their educational journey. Our MSW is a high demand degree that will position you to influence generations of individuals, families, groups, organizations, and communities with your newfound expertise. Not to mention, our MSW team offers innovative and robust educational offerings and delivery methods. Throughout our program, you'll learn to meet the diverse needs of others and will be able to customize your education to your specific learning objectives and interests. You will also find easy access to dynamic faculty, staff, and an administrative team that will provide mentorship to help you develop, implement, and execute your lifetime learning plan. There are high impact teaching practices such as immersive learning, research opportunities, and courses focusing on global challenges. To our co-curricular experiences in a diverse campus community, you will gain the competencies needed to be leaders in social work education and alumnus of a truly special social work program. As you listen to the experiences of the MSW representatives today, pay attention to their passion for education, their dedication for societal impact, their belief in community engagement, and their overwhelming commitment to inclusive excellence. While there are many choices for earning your MSW, I have no doubt you will find the educational growth you seek at Ball State University. It is our daily commitment to help you discover your purpose and translate that into a fulfilling career by working side by side with our students to seek your ideas and hear your voices. On behalf of our faculty, staff, administrators, and current students, we hope you enjoy your time with us today. I hope you will also soon be able to call Ball State University your home.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the 2021 info session on the Master of Social Work program here at Ball State University. My name's Dane Minnick, and I'm going to be facilitating some interviews today with some alumni, students, and faculty members of the program to provide y'all with some information about the MSW program that we have here. So first off, we're going to start off with some introductions of our faculty, students, and alumni. And we'll start over here.
Hi, I'm Shannon Staten, Director of Field Education. I've been in the department this is my 11th year, and so part of my role with Director of Field Education is coordinating all of the required practicum placements for our MSW students. Thanks.
I'm Greta Slater, and I'm the MSW Director. I have been at Ball State for 18 years, and I teach graduate classes and coordinate the program.
Hi, I'm Sarah Bowling, and I am a current MSW student here at Ball State.
Hi, I am Erica Ashford, and I am a recent MSW graduate, completing my degree this past July.
We appreciate all of y'all being here to provide some prospective students with some information about the program. So to start things off, Shannon, can you talk to us a little bit about what career options are open to someone with an MSW degree?
Sure. So it's actually an amazing degree because it is so versatile and in such demand. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that as we get through the slides. But one of the first slides explains some of the wide variety of options that you can go to with an MSW degree. So we've got VAs, we've got hospitals, community mental health centers, DCS is on there, that's Department of Child Services. We have quite a few that work there, go there. Addiction treatment facilities or prevention. Schools, you name it. I mean, really, you can go in a million directions with this degree. So it's, like I said, highly marketable.
All right. Greta, will you tell us a little bit about what licensure is required for some of these job opportunities?
Absolutely. So our program really focuses on gerontology, health, rural, and so we have lots and lots of different job opportunities all around the state. And I think the slide shows, you know, a variety of places. Particularly in Indiana, we have a real shortage of MSWs. With the licensure, people who come through our program can get the licensed social work license, which is the LSW. They can also get the LCSW and LCAC, Licensed Clinical Addictions Counselor. Sorry, stumbled a little bit there. So all of those are available to people who get the MSW degree.
Oh, excellent. Well, so you kind of covered all the different licenses that the MSW graduates can earn. What about for the program itself? Is the MSW program accredited?
I'm so glad you asked that question. We are an accredited program in candidacy. So this is a super rigorous project that takes 3 years really to get through. There are lots and lots of standards, and we are 2/3 of the way through that process. So we have our last site visit this fall, and then the Council on Accreditation will meet in February to discuss our full accreditation. But we are also accredited by the Higher Learning Commission, which is our regional accreditor. So we are an accredited program in candidacy, which is often one of the first questions students ask us.
Right, and also important to note that our students can, per Indiana regulations and licensing regulations, our students can sit for the LSW exam. So if there's any question about whether or not it needs to be fully accredited after that 3-year process to sit for those licensure exams, that's not the case. We've already heard from a lot of our alumni over the last 2 years that they've successfully completed the LSW exam. So that's
Absolutely.
exciting.
And anybody entering now, we would be fully accredited by the time they would start in the fall. So, yeah,
Excellent. Well, very exciting stuff happening then.
it is.
Well, on to our next question. Can y'all talk a little bit about what makes Ball State's MSW program so special?
Absolutely. I mean, we have an advanced generalist degree, which really focuses kind of on clinical addictions, part of the curriculum, and then the other part really is leadership, budgeting, finance,
Administration.
running, administration, running a nonprofit. So we feel like that's a really good mix, especially for people who want to work in a rural community. You need to kind of be a jack of all trades. We didn't mention on the screen that we are one of the least expensive programs in Indiana, so cost is also a really great feature of our program. We also have no time limit for the advanced standing program, which is a really big deal because it's so common. We thought it was an accreditation standard. Most programs you have to be a BSW and get your MSW within 5 years of getting that BSW, but we do not have that sunset date for our program, so it's really great. You could do it even if you graduated 20 years ago with a BSW. But you do not have to have a BSW to come to our program, so that's also a great option.
And that no sunset date makes a huge difference because you're thinking about the time, the cost, the energy that's involved, and getting to stay on track for an advanced standing versus having to do the generalist work over again is a big deal. So that's been beneficial. And also, too, it makes our classrooms a lot richer. I think the learning experience when we have some people that are fresh out, Sarah, right, that's great. But then also you have classmates sitting next to you that sometimes have 15, 20 years of practice experience. So it makes for, I think, a really good classroom setting.
It does, absolutely. We have an awesome new building, really state-of-the-art facilities in the College of Health. And in our college, we have nursing and speech-language pathology, audiology, kinesiology. So it gives us opportunities to do all kinds of team-based classroom sorts of things. We have a simulation lab in our building. It's a beautiful, beautiful space. So
Yes,
we have really great facilities. And also our faculty are really engaged. So we know our students. We're big enough that there's lots of opportunities, but still small enough that faculty know their students really well.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Awesome.
And then the convenient blended classes,
Oh,
like
that's
that's
right.
on there too. I mean, I think that that's been a part of the decision making for a lot of our applicants, our current students. It's their only time commitment to be on campus is Tuesday evenings, anywhere from 4 to 10 p.m. So we have a lot of commuters even that are living maybe in the Indianapolis or Fort Wayne area. So that convenient blend of just night classes on Tuesdays makes it work for a lot of people.
And that's even for full-time students. So just the evenings on Tuesday. So it's really very, very convenient. And our classes alternate between face-to-face and online. So like 1 week we have one class face-to-face and they do online classes for the other one. The next week they switch. So it's a really great blend, I think. And it's kind of the best of both worlds for both the online and also in person. So
Yeah, I agree. I think because most of our students do want that direct interaction. Obviously, COVID for a bit put a wrench in that, but getting to do a combination, still having it be really flexible.
No, it sounds like some excellent flexibility offered by the program, and certainly some important information there for some of the practicing professionals right now who might be looking to further their education and or come back and improve some of their credentials. So
absolutely.
excellent. Well, we'll move over here since we have our student and alumni members. We'll see if you second some of the sentiments that have been presented so far. To start off with, why did y'all choose Ball State for your graduate work, and what factors influenced y'all's decisions?
Sure. Well, I actually just graduated this past spring from Ball State with my BSW, so I'm very familiar with Ball State and the social work program already. And I just had a really great experience here during my undergrad, and I felt very supported by the faculty here, and I learned a lot of valuable skills and social work knowledge that I then was able to see play out and apply in my practicum. So I felt pretty confident that I would have a great education in the MSW program here. But also I was given the opportunity to have a graduate assistantship here, which has been great, helping pay for my schooling. And I'm getting a lot of hands-on experience and I'm learning a lot of skills that I think I'm going to carry with me for the rest of my professional career. And I've also been able to work really closely with the faculty here and learn from them. But yeah, those are probably influenced my decisions to continue on with the MSW program here. So.
Excellent.
Great. So I completed my BSW from Ball State in 2006, and long time ago. And since then, I have been working in the field. So when I heard, I've always kind of wanted to, go for the MSW, but when I heard that Ball State was getting the program, I knew that it was the place I wanted to be. So I had a great experience with my undergrad, and so, I definitely dove right in. Another factor that influenced my decision was the flexible schedules. The 1 week in person, other week online. For someone who is working full time, also a mother, that really worked for me. I think other programs were more, intense in person all the time, and that's what scared me. So the flexibility with that really influenced my decision. And as well as, like Greta mentioned earlier, the cost. So with that being, a little bit cheaper than other universities, I thought that was great as well.
Excellent. Well, so yes, it sounds like the connection between students and alumni, as well as some of the things y'all talked about in terms of the flexibility and some of the costs and things like that are reflected in y'all's experiences, which is excellent. Next question we have, we've covered a little bit of this. So what options do students have for completing the MSW degree, and how long do those options usually take?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we have the Advanced Standing Program, which is for people who have a BSW degree, and that is 36 credit hours because they've already done quite a bit of the foundation work, right? So we have full-time and part-time. So full-time Advanced Standing takes 1 year, and part-time Advanced Standing takes 2 years. So basically they take 2 classes at a time, fall, spring, summer. And are finished in 2 years. The traditional standing option is for students that do not have a bachelor's in social work, so any other degree. We have some folks in our program who have licensed drama therapist. We have ones with a history background, for example. So those students, it's 57 credit hours, and they can have any other degree. So the part-time option is 3 years, and the full-time option is 2 years. So a lot of flexibility.
And all of those are fall, spring, summer.
Yep.
Fall, spring, summer. So.
Excellent. So Shannon, what courses will students take in the MSW program, and can you talk a little bit about the practicum process as well?
Sure. That's my bread and butter, so absolutely. But yeah, like Greta had already mentioned, I think you'd already mentioned that our program has a rural practice focus. It's advanced generalist, and so you can see the list of courses really aligns with what she was talking about, with about half of it that's heavy on making sure that our students have solid clinical and therapeutic skills, and then about half, I mean maybe not quite half, but several classes that are geared towards management and leadership. You can see 6 clinical and addictions courses, and then several management and leadership courses, which are really interesting too. And I think it just rounds out their abilities to have, like you said, the jack of all trades. Like, you have a strong set of macro skills and leadership skills, but then you can also do the clinical work. And then we have rural practice and diversity. Again, it's a rural practice focus. We will touch on, I think at some point, certainly we're not just for students that are practicing in rural communities. We've had this conversation many times when we were developing this program, that you're going to work with rural constituents to some degree, even if you're in the middle of Indianapolis, right? So working with rural communities or people that are coming in from surrounding rural counties. And we felt like when we were looking at our region's needs, I'm kind of jumping into a tangent maybe, but when we were looking at our region's needs, we thought, really, we need a rural practice focus in this area. Most of the MSW programs, I think there's only one other in the state that's pretty far away, are more urban practice focused. So when we saw the desperate need for LSWs and LCSWs in our region, we thought that made sense as far as our coursework and the curriculum. Some research classes, and that kind of depends too how many research classes you need if you've taken stats or research classes in your undergrad and how recently. So we could chat through that. If any people always have questions about that, how many stats classes am I going to have to take, right? Okay. And then yeah, some electives. We have a wide variety of electives. We keep increasing those options, and so yeah. And then practicum. So the number of practicum, they are required, absolutely. So that is a big part of, I think, applicants' decision making, is how is that going to work with my life and my life balance, right? So you could probably speak to that too. But if they are a traditional standing student, so they don't have that bachelor's degree in social work, then they have to do 3 semesters of practicum. 1 semester that's considered a generalist, so it's equivalent to what a BSW senior student would do for their practicum. So that's more like a case management level scope of practice, right? Helping, engaging clients at different system levels, case management level work, goal setting, skill building, connecting people with resources, et cetera, right? And then they do everyone, whether they're traditional or advanced standing, does a 2-semester advanced practicum. That is at the same agency. So we set that up and they stay through that spring through summer when they graduate. That's always done the last 2 semesters before they graduate. So they have a bulk of their coursework done before they even get into that advanced placement, and then they do some additional clinical classes and other things while they're in that placement. So just want to specify though, programs do this all different as far as practicum planning and coordination. It's kind of all over the board. We are definitely a department that believes that we want to walk alongside all of our students and really help to coordinate that placement. So it is, if that's a question about whether or not you have to go out and cold call to find your own practicum, that is not going to be your experience with our department. So that's nice. So we meet for orientation before practicum, usually about, more than a semester ahead of when they would start. We have individual appointments with all of our students where we talk about their preferences, their geographic location, like do they need a placement back in Indy, Fort Wayne, Ohio, et cetera, and their population setting interests, our ideas, their ideas, and then they do take over. Then once we've established that the agency meets our requirements and is going to provide the learning experience they need, then they go through the interview and screening and onboarding process with those agencies. We have a wide variety of partnerships, and we're establishing new partnerships all the time, so that's pretty exciting with the number of MSW students we have now. I'm trying to think anything else about practicum that you think would stand out.
If they want to do the licensed clinical addictions counselor,
good,
then
thank you.
they need to do their practicum placement at an addiction setting. That's the only, our coursework prepares everyone to do the LCAC if that's what they want to do, but that is a part of the practicum planning for the advanced practicum, is they need to be in an addiction setting.
Yep.
So,
Oh, and then hours, always people want to know about hours as well, right? So it's 300 hours per semester, and we run them in the spring or the summer. We don't have any fall placements, and so the generalist is either in the spring or the summer. for 300 hours. And that kind of depends which semester, how many hours per week it ends up with your schedule. And then the advanced is always spring and summer. And so that's a total of 600 hours that they spread out from the beginning of January through the third week in July. Right now that falls out to about 21, 22 hours a week.
Excellent. So what does the process for applying to the MSW program look like, and what are the requirements for the program?
Absolutely. So we accept students for summer and we accept students for fall. So we don't have any spring application cycle. But for our application, we use a program called Slate. And so students will set up a username and an account through Slate. The application takes like 20 minutes tops, right? The most important thing when you're getting ready to do your application is to talk with references ahead of time. So your professional references or job references that you want to use for that application, because it's really important to talk to them ahead of time and make sure, because when you hit submit, you're putting their name in with their email address, and then the application will reach out, the university will reach out to them and get that name in, the recommendation from that person. One of the things that I often get in terms of questions is you can't submit, we have some writing samples that are required to be submitted, and you can't do that immediately right when you do your application. So the Slate will set up a profile for you. It takes about 48 hours, and then you can upload your documents. So sometimes I get these panicked emails from students like, oh my goodness, I don't know where to submit my writing sample. Right, it won't let you do it right at the beginning. So you have to, you can submit your application right off the bat and then get a little bit of time to do the writing sample. One of the things that's great about doing this info session is that you can have a waiver for the graduate school fee, which is nice. Also, alumni don't have to pay the graduate school fee. And then we also have a couple of different writing samples that are required as well. Oh, students also ask, is the GRE required? It is not required, so that's a plus side, right? So we also require a 3.0 GPA, although we consider a wide range of things. We also consider professional work experience, we consider the writing sample, we consider GPA, we have a whole rubric to kind of evaluate those applications. So we have accepted students that have lower than a 3.0 GPA. We kind of consider a holistic application, right? So that's one of the questions we get quite a bit, actually. So then you need to upload 3 different documents, a VITA or resume, academic writing sample, and a personal statement. So before I get to that next slide, our priority deadlines are February 1st, and those we really need people, if they are interested in a graduate assistantship, we need to have all of those applications completed by February 1st, so plan ahead. We are already accepting applications for summer, so you can do it now. And then our regular deadline is April 1st. Let's see, so then people typically have a few more questions about the personal statement, so there we go. So the personal statement is more of a narrative style. It kind of tells us the story about why you're interested in Ball State, what are your career goals, what's some relevant work experience or leadership or research experiences that you've had. Typically 500 to 700 words. This one does not need to be in APA format. It's more of a kind of tell us your story kind of thing. But then the next writing sample is academic writing sample, and that one is more 1,000 to 1,500 words. This is a traditional research paper, right? So we're expecting APA format, having lots of references, having peer-reviewed journals, having really strong research paper. So for that one, you just need to pick one of these 6 writing prompts that we have. We have had students answer all of them, and that's not the point. Don't do that. Just pick one and then write a paper about that topic. So on the screen we have, there's a wide variety of prompts that you can use, but what are the primary challenges and rewards for working with rural communities? We have another one with ethical issues with active addiction, one with the macro and micro issues working in healthcare. What are the causes and consequences of disproportionate number of children of color in the child welfare and foster care system? These are easy questions to answer, right? It is graduate school. It's graduate school, so yes, we know these questions are tough. But this is what we're trying to get at. We want to find out how good are you at doing the academic writing as well. So also a question about elders aging in place, and then the last option you can choose from is the nonprofit and community development leader. So yeah, did I get to everything on that? Yes, I think so.
So any tips or tricks you would recommend to potential applicants when filling out the
Absolutely.
application?
Absolutely. I think probably, I don't know, I'd be curious, I'm putting you on the spot, what your perspective is, but I think the academic writing is the one that is probably most intimidating, because the personal narrative is you just telling us your story, your interest in Ball State, your career goals. So that usually comes pretty easy, but the academic writing, depending on how long you've been out of your undergraduate, I think that makes a difference too. So if you feel like, we use the term, if your APA is a little rusty, then you want to make sure that you're using any resources you can to make sure that that's a strong academic writing sample. That really does, I think that makes a big difference, because we're looking at that to see, are you going to be able to be successful in the program? So what do you think?
I think the same thing for me. I definitely had to dust off that APA manual and utilize that when doing the writing sample. It wasn't as difficult as I thought it would be. It's kind of one of those things, you jump right back in and it comes natural. So it was a little intimidating, but it wasn't, once I got through it, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah,
That's good to
and it's
hear.
nice you can pick your own topic. That
Yeah.
always makes a difference with
It does.
your passion with that, whatever that prompt is. So
Absolutely.
what do you think, Sarah?
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit intimidating just because, I was finishing out my BSW degree while I was applying. So I was thinking, oh, I got to do another research paper. But it was helpful that I was able to pick my own topic. And in my case, I was, still going to school. So APA was pretty fresh in my mind. So I got through it. It was fine.
Good.
Awesome.
Awesome. All right, so let's say you do get accepted into the program. How can students typically look at paying for grad school?
Excellent question. One we get quite a bit.
Yes.
So I did mention the cost, right? That's one of the plus sides of Ball State is that we're a really great value, right? But graduate assistantships, we do have a few of those. We don't have a lot, but we have a few. So graduate assistantships, one of the really good things though is that you can actually, once you're accepted into the MSW program, you can apply for a graduate assistantship anywhere on campus. So like you can go to the Cardinal Career Link, or you can actually contact other programs directly, graduate programs, to see, hey, do you have any graduate assistantships? And if so, what's your application process? For our students applying to our program, all you have to do is check that box on the application that you're interested in graduate assistantships, and then we have a screening process that we go through, typically in March, once we've accepted those students that met our priority deadline. We also have, there's of course student employment on campus. There are lots of employer programs. So we have one like through the Department of Child Services that pays for tuition, and that's a really, really great program. There also are, and that's called the 4E Scholars, but there also is loan forgiveness and also some military benefits. So I would say a lot of students also work part-time
Yes.
or full-time.
I'd say most work
I would say
part-time.
probably, yeah.
And then we have quite a few that work full-time. Now that gets a little bit trickier with planning
Practicum.
life when you get to those practicum semesters, but we try to be as creative and problem solve as much as possible. And then mention on the slide paid practicum, but I just want to say up front that is not a guarantee,
common.
not in the social work profession. So sometimes people aren't used to that if they come from another discipline or a background. Really, the larger the organization that you go to for practicum, the greater the likelihood that their budget allows for something like a stipend or partial paid. But I would say that's the exception versus the rule.
Yeah.
And but we certainly encourage them to ask, and if that's their number one variable with their decision making with where they want to go, then that's what we focus on. Where are the places that could be paid experience? But yeah, it's just kind of planning ahead to make sure that you can budget.
I think the next slide has actually all of the MSW programs in Indiana with their per credit hour fees on it, and so you can just see what ours is in terms of the other programs. We're really cost effective. So I mean, it's really great having a state school. So it definitely helps in terms of costs. So. Yeah, one of the things we just always like to remind students is that this is an investment, right? So even though it does seem like a big expense, typically comes with increased salary and, lots of opportunities. So it definitely is an investment, and you do need to plan for it. That's the
Right.
piece that gets a little bit trickier with practicum, like Shannon mentioned.
So moving back to our student informers, students, can y'all talk a little bit about what a typical day in the MSW program looks like for you?
Sure. So as Shannon and Greta were mentioning earlier, all of our classes are on Tuesday afternoons and evenings. So that provides me a lot of flexibility in my week, I think. I'm able to really plan ahead how I want to work on my, when and how I want to work on my assignments and the variety of readings that I have to complete in my MSW program, and also figure out when I can take care of my graduate assistantship responsibilities. And sometimes I have hours that I'm required to be on campus for those. But I mean, I think a typical day for me, I'm working a little bit on assignments, doing some readings, doing my GA responsibilities. But I will say, in my case at least, I still have quite a bit of time to be able to, hang out with my friends or pursue my own interests, which, we're reminded often that we need to take care of ourselves and our self-care plan. So definitely making that a priority. So I'd say that's a typical day for me. Yeah.
Well, Erica, congratulations again on the graduation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very exciting. So do you have anything to add to that? And also, just what was your general experience like in the program as a whole?
So overall, I had a wonderful experience in the program. I think that, as we've discussed earlier, the variety of classes that we're taking, I was really very happy to learn more about macro level. That's not something I had learned about in the past. And so it actually has kind of geared me towards that in my professional career. So I was very excited about that. A typical day for me was probably, as working full-time while going through the program. So working with classes being Tuesday evenings, that really was very, beneficial. But really being organized. So setting aside evening time for readings. It's a lot of reading. So just setting aside time to do that and actually doing it. So, splitting it up when, I was part-time, advanced standing, so 2 classes. And so I would take one class, I'll do this Wednesday nights, this class Thursday nights, and then making sure to stay up on the syllabus and everything else to know when things are due. So I think the key is really being organized and sticking to the plan and throwing a little self-care in there every now and again, so. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think with my MSW program so far, I started this summer. I think I've become way more organized and a better planner. And like you said, I think it's key to being successful in this program.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
I'm sure the faculty members really enjoy hearing that one. That's a big thumbs up on that. All right, so Greta and Shannon, what can potential students do to make their applications stand out? If we're going to go back now that we've sold the program and everybody is ready to jump on the website and start filling out applications.
Yeah. Well, it mentions at the top there to bring your A game, and I guess what we mean by that is really to take your time and not kind of rush through putting your, getting your documents ready. It's not a rush. Like you said, we're already accepting applications, but take your time with that. And we definitely notice if we feel like it's a rushed project. And just that it's graduate school, so we do have an expectation, and we're looking at, can you be successful in this program with the rigor that's required? And then, well, of course, editing, proofreading, like that's of course. And you want to mention the rest of the things?
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, it's really great to highlight your research skills if you have them. That's not always common, but leadership, I would say, is more common, right? So we do have a lot of students who come with lots of practice experience, work experience, leadership experience. All of those things really help kind of highlight how your fit is for our program. So I think all of those are really good things. Of course, we want to be the plan A, right? So we want to hear that Ball State is your choice and that this program specifically is your choice.
And that's that's another tip for the personal narrative is make sure you explain in that personal narrative why Ball State for you. That's helpful.
Yeah, that's really important to us. And you know, we really think that professionalism, we're looking for, in that narrative especially, we're looking for people who are going to be the clinical social workers and the leaders in the community. So it's okay to have some, you know, a lot of people come to social work because maybe they were involved with the system or because they have had a really good social worker in the past, and that's great. But what we want to hear is that you're ready to be the social worker. So that, I think, that's kind of what we were meaning by the tone. The tone is important.
Absolutely. Professionalism and your readiness for practice.
Absolutely.
And, you know, just like emotional maturity and that, yeah, you're ready for it.
Absolutely.
Certainly. Sounds like the attention to detail and ready to take
Yes.
that next
There you
step
go.
after the bachelor's level seems to be what you are pointing out. Excellent advice for potential students. So moving on now, what can students do or potential students do who are interested in starting the process right now?
Yes. I mean, they can
can.
apply right now. It's open for summer. And we actually recommend, especially for full-time students, full-time advanced standing, because that's just a one-year program. We really recommend that they start in the summer. They can take, you know, 2 classes in the summer semester, and it really helps lighten the
Sarah
load.
said, it does make a
Exactly. It
difference.
really, really helps. So that it's not quite as intense. You don't have to take 15 credit hours a semester plus doing practicum, so that's a lot. And we just think, you know, summer's it's great. There's lots of good offerings in terms of electives and things like that. So, so we do have our application open now for summer. You can check out our website. We have lots of good information there. This webinar will be loaded on our website. Schedule campus visit. We would love to see you. We're happy to have students back on campus, and we're really, really excited about our new building, so we would love to show that off. You can come attend a class too. If you're interested in learning more, you can come sit in on a class. We can hook you up with actual classes that are in session, and you can come visit for that.
We have some additional info sessions scheduled on campus, and some of those we have scheduled in our building with the thought that if anybody wants to come to a class right after that info session, so
Yeah.
that's an option too.
It's great. Yep, absolutely. So you can apply today.
Awesome. So open applications, and
Yep.
From the sound of things, it seems like there's engaged faculty, a lot of flexibility with the classes, certainly some opportunities for some specialized licensure with the LCAC, and one of the few programs with a rural focus. So certainly some great opportunities for potential students. Did I leave anything out? I want to make sure I captured everything.
I don't think so. Priority deadline February 1st. April 1st is our drop dead deadline. And I don't know, do we have some questions?
Well, so we do have some
people?
questions. So does the MSW program offer an online program option?
Unfortunately, we do not. So our program is an on-campus program. We try to make it as convenient as possible
Right.
so that, you know, it is just on Tuesday evenings, so you can continue to work, but it really is just a face-to-face program that alternates with some online classes. But I get that question quite a bit. Is it an online program? Yeah.
So let's see. If my GPA is less than 3.0, will you still consider me? We covered this a little bit earlier where you talked about that being a holistic sort of application process
Absolutely.
with a combination of the personal narrative along with work experience, things
Right.
like
And
that.
that's a good place to explain that. If
Absolutely.
you have a GPA, an undergrad GPA that was a longer time ago, then you can, explain that in your narrative. Like what happened, you know, why do we have the
A
sorry,
lower GPA.
the lower
yeah.
GPA,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
So what is the class schedule like for full-time and part-time? And can you start full-time and then drop down to
that's a great
part-time
That is
part-time if need
That's a
be?
great question. Yeah. So, you can start, I would say it's easier to start full-time and drop to part-time, but not necessarily the other way around. Yeah, so I don't know. I think for the most part it is really flexible, and our classes are, you know, we can offer those on Tuesday evenings, whether it's full-time or part-time, so that works as well.
Yeah, and I think at first sometimes people are a little bit confused about the 1 week it's face-to-face, 1 week it's asynchronous online, but really you get into that groove pretty quick and the classes rotate. That's why we're able to keep it just in that block of time on Tuesdays. Okay.
Your program focuses on rural practice, but what if the student wants to work within the city? And I know
Yeah.
y'all touched on this a little bit, but could you go into a little bit more detail?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a great question because our program does focus on rural, but I think even if you're working in the city, I really do think that, it's it's something that we are, it's a skill set that goes across both, both rural and urban settings. Our practice focus really does look at, what are the boundaries, and I think that some of those concepts really translate well to the urban setting, even if it's not, if you're not working in a rural setting. Do you have other things to add to that?
No, I echo that, absolutely.
So what if a potential applicant already has some graduate credits? Will they transfer to the MSW program?
They will. So there's a certain number of credits that we can transfer. So if they're coming from another MSW program that's accredited by CSWE, we can count up to 9 credit hours if you're advanced standing, and we can count up to 15 credit hours if you are the traditional standing. There is a time limit for some of those credits because graduate credits across the board have to be taken within, I think, 6 years. So they don't all transfer, but we can transfer some of those if they're coming from another CSWE accredited program.
Good information to know. So is there a thesis required for the MSW program?
There is not.
Happy answer. No, no thesis required.
Collective sigh of relief.
There is not. You can do a thesis if you want to, but it's not required. So we have a different research class that's required, and so there's a big program evaluation that's in that research class.
All right, so how has COVID impacted the classroom delivery and/or practicum
Sure.
assignments, and are there some protocols in place for anything happening or might happen in the future?
Absolutely. So, of course, COVID, like everywhere else, kind of threw a wrench in things for quite a while. But we really rallied and made it work. How it's impacted practicum specifically, we increased our ability and understanding of telehealth and telemental health and how to make a remote or a virtual placement work. So that really, it opened our eyes a bit to different ways that we could still get that quality educational experience. So we are back though to, I would say our practicum placements now are a good combination of face-to-face service delivery and remote or virtual work. And we will tailor that to a student's preferences. So if someone is, let's say, high risk or has family that are high risk and they want to be in more of a remote practicum, we definitely have those opportunities. And if they want, on the other end of that, to be as much face-to-face as possible, then we take that variable into consideration too. As far as classroom delivery, do you want to look at the camera?
So with the classroom, we had to pivot like everyone did. And so we did do synchronous classes on Zoom when we couldn't be in the classroom. So that was, that was a challenge, but it was one that I think we adapted pretty well and pretty quickly. So, I think like a lot of places, it's been, COVID was difficult. So we're really glad to be back in the classroom again, back with our hybrid schedule. So
Right,
I think that's worked well.
Yeah, and I think it speaks to our success that even in the the midst of COVID, our first group of graduating students, 15 students 2 years ago, and 47 students that just graduated a couple of months ago with Erica. So, made it.
That's great.
Excellent. Did y'all have anything to add to the transition? I know students, y'all got to experience that firsthand. So, any comments on how the department shifted whenever COVID first hit, and what you can expect if, as a student, if changes have to be made in the middle of the semester?
Yeah, we came back, my BSW experience, sorry, let me retract that. So yeah, everything shifted during my junior year actually. And we came back to school after spring break and we heard that we were going to be going virtual. And no, obviously it was a little bit difficult, but we were able to transition well into that. And our faculty dealt with that transition very well as also. And my whole senior year was essentially virtual. I think there were some classes that were in person, but I still got a great education, I think. And I'm really excited that we're in person now. Yes. I love being in the classroom, so.
Yes, I agree. I definitely missed the in-person interaction, but I felt the social work department did a very good job of just, converting over to virtual and, having classes via Zoom or whatever platform, and it was okay. It was okay. We got through it.
Yeah.
Definitely, but like I said, I really did miss the in-person interaction, so.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you all again for sharing your experiences with us, and Greta, you and Shannon for providing some information about the program. Again, it sounds like there's a lot of good opportunities here at the MSW program at Ball State. Definitely very excited about things going forward. And if you have any questions about the program, any additional information, questions about the application, you can reach out to Dr. Slater here at gsslater@bsu.edu or over to Shannon at sstaten@bsu.edu. So thank you everyone for, again, for coming out and hearing our info session for 2021. And we look forward to seeing a lot of new applications here in the future.